All right, all right, all right. Carnivore Soldier coming at you from Austin, Texas. It's another Wednesday. You made it. We're getting really close to Ketocon time or Hack Your Health. So I'm excited about that. We got some good guests here again. Our regulars, John, the carnivore teacher, and DC from Australia. How you guys doing?
Good, good. How you doing?
Great, man. It's been a good week for me. I know, John, you said you had a pretty good week, right?
I had a great week. Yeah.
And what about you, DC? What you been up to? I think you're muted, buddy.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Yeah,
DC's
you're muted.
There we go.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I had a pretty good week, actually. I've spent a bit of time away from YouTube for a bit, just doing the minimum. But this week I had an interview. Yesterday I was speaking with Dr. Robert Lufkin.
Oh, wow.
And this morning I had another interview with a young lady who is working with, well, she's a co-founder of an organization that is working on metabolic health. And she's quite remarkable, actually. She herself, in her early 40s, she was diagnosed with early onset of dementia, and she had 12 brain lesions. But since changing her diet, she's gone to a high-fat, ketogenic, low-carb diet. She's cured it all. And not only that, she's doing a lot of other work to try and raise awareness for high-fat and ketogenic style diets, and including carnivore and other things. So just a remarkable story. So I'll be putting those two interviews up very soon. Dr. Lufkin, that was really interesting, actually. He himself, he wrote the book Lies I Taught in Medical School, because he still is a medical professor at universities level. And he himself, like, his mother was a dietitian, and he's sort of grown up with the low-fat sort of diet that we all sort of propaganda garbage that we all sort of grew up with. And he was diagnosed with 4 different diseases that pretty much could have been the end of his life, if it let it deteriorate. But he's also cured that too with a low fat, well, high fat sort of he's actually went carnivore for a while, and now he's more ketogenic. So really interesting guy.
I follow him on LinkedIn, actually. It's funny, the different people on different websites, and he's very active on LinkedIn, and I kind of use it like a Twitter X, and follow him. And he's answered my questions. He's a really nice guy. So I'm anxious. Your interview's not posted yet, is it, DC? Did you post? I'm really anxious to see it. Yeah.
No, I usually put them up on Patreon for a couple of days before I put them onto YouTube. Okay. So,
all right.
I'll probably put that up tomorrow.
Great.
But really, like you said, really nice guy. He has a YouTube page as well, and and you can follow him on Twitter, X, and other social medias as well. So well worth following. Actually, he's a good guy.
Yes.
Cool. Well, we've already got some people chiming in that they're just starting out and a few days into this thing. So this is a perfect episode for them, because we're going to be talking about best practices. And if you're going to do this thing, you want the best results, and you probably want the optimal results in the optimal amount of time. You just want this thing to work.
Yeah.
And the way to make it work, there is a secret to carnivore. The secret is best practices yield best results, just like they do in everything in life. You want to be a straight A student, then you study, then you engage in class, then you're active, you're not passive. And that's how you get straight A's in school. And the same thing in this. You really need to engage and to study and to apply things. So we're going to be talking about that stuff. We all talked about it a little bit offline here before this, and we all think it's very important, and there's some good stuff. So if you guys have questions about best practices or about starting this, or even if you've been on it for a while, how to optimize your results. Because summer's coming around. A lot of people want to be optimal for summer, right? I know I do. So this is the time to do it. And this is the episode. So get excited, guys. Hey, Robin's in. Hey, what's up, Robin? How you doing?
Hey, Robin.
All right, we got Dave Saunier on here. So let me go ahead and share the screen I have for optimal guidelines for a meat-based diet. And I put in carnivore best practices is what I put into the search here. And Nancy K's here. Hey, Nancy, how you doing? Carnivore Rabbi, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Carnivore Rabbi.
Oh, he's got to pick his daughter up in 15 minutes. No problem, brother.
He's got great videos, man. I've been watching his videos.
Yeah, he's got good stuff, man. Really good stuff. Glad you made it, though, buddy. Make sure, when you can, definitely join us in the future. So optimal guidelines for meat-based diet. Food choices is pretty much spot on. Focus on fatty cuts of meat, such as pork belly, beef fat, lamb fat, as they are rich in nutrients and energy. I'm surprised that the search engine returned that because that's accurate. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Choose grass-fed, pasture-raised, and wild-caught options whenever possible. I'm not going to argue with that. That's probably not a bad choice. Include a variety of meats such as beef, pork, lamb, chicken, fish, and game meats. I won't argue with that either. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, just to interrupt for a second. Sorry, Larry. Just the reason a lot of people don't see the difference in grass-fed or grain-fed sort of meat. The difference is, the main difference is that grass-fed is lower in deuterium, okay? But, it doesn't really matter. Even if you're on carnivore, and just that, even on the cheapest kinds of meat, it's still going to be a much higher improvement. It's still much lower in deuterium than carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So
and it says grass-fed here. Now, that's kind of a misnomer because
explain deuterium, DC. Sorry, Larry.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, the best source to get a great explanation is to look up Dr. Sarah Pugh or Jack Cruz, but it is a hydrogen molecule that is higher in was it Na? I think it is.
Okay, it's that other hydrogen. I remember.
Yeah,
okay.
It carries another hydrogen molecule with it.
They're very rare, actually, aren't they?
Deuterium's a heavy water, I believe. Right?
Yeah, basically, it's in heavy. It's in it's really high in carbohydrates, though, and also tap water and other things. But your body can only handle, I think it's like 200. Parts per million per day. So if you are eating a high, this is the good thing about a carnivore diet, is that it's a low deuterium diet. So even if you wanted to explain to someone that you're on a carnivore diet and without using carnivore, you can say, I'm on a low deuterium diet.
And then they're going to then they'll either ask you what that is or just shake their head like
their eyes will glaze over, right?
Yeah, that's eyes will glaze over, and then at least that you won't have to answer any more questions,
True.
But
there's the best practice.
The thing is, deuterium is basically like the basic thing that it sort of blocks. It tends to block off your Krebs cycle, and when your Krebs cycle stops working, that's when you start getting illnesses and sick and all sorts of things, including
the Krebs cycles when fat and carbs go in at the same time. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And what happens then is your Krebs cycle will turns carbohydrates into energy. Also turns your proteins and fats into energy, stuff like that. But when it gets blocked up with high deuterium, and it stops working, then you start to get metabolic dysfunction, and that's what causes all the major diseases, diabetes, cancer, all the rest of it. So it's the deuterium that actually is like the start of everything. So how much deuterium you take is
interesting.
And that's the thing about these machine oils, things like that, soy and all the rest, they are very, very, very high in deuterium. It's not just the omega-6s that imbalance. the fact that they are very high in the deuterium is the poison part as well.
There is a little more omega-6 in the grass finished, and here's, I mean, in the grain finished beef. And here's the thing: it says choose grass fed. Well, all beef is pretty much grass fed.
Yeah.
So it's really talking about grass finished. And
the verbiage they use grass fed to mean grass finished because everything eats grass.
Yes.
They all eat grass, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the way cows are is you raise them on grass for a couple of years and then you finish them for 30, 60, or 90 days, typically.
Fatten them up for slower.
That's right.
And the thing is, I mean, they always show these feedlots versus like the prairie, right? And that's a false thing too, because you can find local ranchers who don't have huge feedlots that just do a grain finish at the end. They do put them in a corral, but it's not a feedlot. It's not like not every grain finished piece of meat is from a corporate massive feedlot. You can actually,
that's right.
I buy grain fed and grain finished beef from local ranchers. So you can totally get it. And it's, you're still supporting regenerative farming, which is important, I think, and local ranchers. So it's not an either or. You can do both. You can do grain fed and support local ranchers. So just be aware.
Yeah. It's just something to be aware of. It's like I said, even like you said, like most cattle are always grass fed up until the last few months. And those few months they use grains to fatten them up. So, which is another perfect example of why you shouldn't be eating grains if you want to lose weight.
Right. Yeah. So because it's perfect for fattening animals up, which we are an animal. So there you go.
That's right.
It says consider incorporating organ meats such as liver, kidney, tongue for added nutritional benefits. Can't argue with that. I don't like those, so I usually do egg yolks as my organ meat replacement kind of, because that's got a lot of the same things in the embryo, the chicken embryo. So.
Right. I do that too, and I do cod liver once or twice a week, which is really good, believe it or not. Yeah.
What about you, DC? Do you do any organ meat or anything? DC?
Sorry?
Do you do any organ meats, DC?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. Yeah, they're not really necessary. I mean, if you listen, this is something Dr. Chafee said, which I really agree with. We have this amazing system of our tongue-brain connection. If organ meats taste good to you, you might need those. That might be your body saying, you know what, you need this, because that's really when your body's working properly. That's what's supposed to happen. When something tastes really good right now, then that means you should probably be eating that. And I'm not talking about sugar. I'm not talking about ice cream.
Right, because they use that example too. Oh, that tastes good to my brain and my tongue and my brain. So my body must need ice cream. You got to be careful with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's the same thing with salt. If you're salting something to taste and you're like, oh, I like this, I want more, your body's craving salt. If it tastes too salty to you, that's your signal to your brain saying you don't need any more salt.
Right.
Same thing.
Okay. Limit or avoid processed meats such as sausage and deli meats. These are inferior meats. I agree with that. And they are not as good as the other meats. But if that's what you can afford, and that's what's available, they're totally acceptable.
They are less bad, and read the ingredient labels. Like I buy bratwurst at my local grocery store. It's the only sausage in the entire store that has 2 ingredients. Yeah. All right. And it's very clean. But you read some of the other sausages and salami, all those things, and there's a paragraph of crap in there.
Beef jerky.
So you can find some processed meats that are very barely processed, and they're really good. So, this is all not ones and zeros. It's a lot of stuff. You read ingredients.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't be diverted. The biggest thing, people are diverted by the calorie chart. They think, as long as the calories are fine, it's all good. Yeah.
Or even the carbs, or even just the carbs. You look at carbs, and it's like, that's not the game here. This is a low carb diet, but it's really high fat. It's high quality food, right?
And they look at all the vitamins and minerals in the same calorie chart. The problem is, like, all these vitamins and minerals too, they're all highly, they're all
fake,
manufactured.
They're fortified, which means they add it because it's devoid of the vitamins and minerals. So they add it, and it's all poor quality crap. Yeah.
Okay. Next would be plan your meals in advance to ensure you have a steady supply of nutrient-dense foods. I don't do that, but if you were in a family, I could see doing that. And I just eat when I'm hungry, so I don't like plan meals. I don't.
Well, you have to take stuff out of the freezer, so you know ahead of time to thaw it. So you're kind of planning it. That's kind of how I plan it. Like I'm 3 days ahead. I have a deep freezer in my garage. I have the freezer in the bottom of my refrigerator, and so I've got something for today, something that's thawing, something I just took out that's about to thaw. So that's my planning. But what am I planning?
But I can get around that when I don't plan and I get hungry, because I can throw a frozen steak in an air fryer with my.
Oh well, yeah.
So I can do a quick
week's episode,
which is nice, because as a single guy, it's nice to be able to just do that on the fly, right? To throw a ribeye in there and cook it up.
That's frozen, yeah.
That's frozen, yeah, and have a good ribeye that's juicy when it's done.
I have to try this frozen air fryer.
You should try it once.
Yeah, I've never tried from frozen to cooked. I've never tried that.
You need a air fryer that goes up to 450 to get the optimal.
I think ours does. Yeah, I think
if it only goes to 400, it'll still work, but 450 is really optimal.
Huh.
I have a video on it, so you can watch that, John.
The planning is good. I did hear a phrase, if you don't plan, how did the phrase go? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you should plan, or something like that. And so planning is important, I think. Yep,
I agree with that. Consider meal prepping or batch cooking to save time and money. I do some of that. I do. When I do batch stuff sometimes. I'm going to cook. I'll cook a bunch of burgers and throw the burgers in the fridge and then nuke them when I want a burger, right? I'll grill a bunch. If I'm going to fire that grill up, man, I'm going to load up all the burgers on there and get them all cooked up and seasoned with salt and ready to go. Make sure to include a variety of meats and fat sources for your meals. So when it says fat sources, what are your favorite fat sources to add to a meal, guys? Do you have any?
Yeah, I do. I love lamb fat. It's very good. It's very high, like omega-3s, because I don't eat a lot of seafood here. When I'm in Japan, I'll eat a lot of seafood, so I get a lot of omega-3s that way. But lamb fat's the next best thing.
Oh, it's tasty.
How do you add lamb fat to it? Do you just pour it on?
Yeah, I'll get offcuts from the butcher, or it's some of the fat that I'll save in the bottom of the pan, sort of thing, and I'll just keep it in a bowl. So there's that way, and even just the off cuttings I get from the butcher, like I said, is a great way. Just when I'm cooking beef or something, I'll add a bit of lamb fat to it. It's nice.
Yeah, lamb fat is. Some people don't like it. You have to have a taste for it. When I first had lamb chops and lamb loins, I'm like, this is amazing. So if you can save that fat, I'll use ghee, I'll use butter. When I make a chicken in the air fryer and all the juices in the bottom, put that in a mason jar in the refrigerator, and the water goes to the bottom, and all the fat, the schmaltz, it's called schmaltz, the chicken fat, scoop that up, and you use that to season stuff. Chicken, it's delicious. And then beef tallow, duck fat.
Yeah. I think it's important to mix your meats and your fats.
I agree.
Because you need a range of proteins, for example, but you also need a range of the fats. Your omega-3s and 6s and stuff like that.
We forgot bacon fat. That's probably the most tasty fat, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. I make my bacon mayonnaise with that bacon fat and egg yolk. Really good.
Yeah.
And then I like to, like you said, mixing your fats. I like to put butter on my beef a lot of times.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
And then, but I will fry eggs and stuff with tallow. I get the Wagyu tallow.
I found that, Larry. I found it in the store just the other day. I got a big jar of it.
Did you taste it?
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. It's more
another
liquid
flavor, right?
It's more of a liquid at room. I'm surprised that it wasn't more solid.
Well, you must be warm down there because mine's solid.
Oh yeah. Well, Florida. Yeah, it's hot here. Yeah. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Is everyone in the chat currently in carnivore? So they're asking if everyone's carnivore in here or not. We are.
I see Paul Salvatierra, and every time I look at his name, I see
Saladino.
In my head, it's Paul Saladino. I'm like, Paul
Saladino. Like Paul Saladino's on here.
I took a triple take.
Yeah. So adding fat sources to your meals, that's something I like to do too, and it does add flavor. Like you can add that Wagyu tallow to a burger, and it makes it just changes the flavor. You melt that on top. Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, next, portion control. I don't like the way it's labeled because I don't ever really worry about portion control. But this eating until satisfied and not stuffed, I think that's pretty accurate.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the stage you're at too. Like, for example, if you're priming, like if you're loading before a fast, I think you can eat until you're stuffed. Like, just eat as much as you can. But
also, if you're working out heavy, when I lift heavy, I eat more often in the day. I eat 3 or 4 times.
Well, you want to eat
more.
more.
You're going to eat more to be satisfied anyway. If you're working out, you're going to be needing more food to be satisfied anyway. And I found that the higher the fat in the meal, the quicker you will be satisfied as well, because it's the fat that satiates you. All right.
It is.
So I always say, like, I think you should focus on the fat intake over the protein intake, because that's what's going to satiate you, and as you get most of your vitamins and minerals from anyway. So,
and most people coming to carnivore always undereat the fat because we've been fat phobic for years, and we've been told low fat, low fat, low fat. So when we're adding fat, we just add this little, like, oh, I'm going to add some butter. I'm like, that's not enough. We have to add a lot more fat to lean meats if they're lean.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. And when you do, everything functions, and the satiety level kicks in at just the right time. And I've learned for satiety I eat like I used to eat like a Rottweiler eating breakfast. I mean, right? I have to slow down and not eat so fast to allow my leptin signals, to allow my body the time for all that satiety to register. Because if I overeat too fast, I get full, and I feel like, a Thanksgiving overstuffed full. You don't want to feel gross. You just want to give you, so take your time, even get up and walk away, take a break, come back, and you may not be as hungry when you come back 5 minutes later.
I think it's also less likely to happen when you're eating carnivore too, because you're eating high fat and protein meal. Right. So it's because it's the fat that satiates you. You're less likely to eat to the point where you have to undo that top button to relax on the chair, sort of thing, after Thanksgiving.
Because the nutrient density, right? Because it's so dense, it doesn't take up as much space when you eat it.
Yeah,
that's right. Which is why another reason to emphasize the fat, because that's where you're getting your nutrients. You want as much nutrient dense food as possible.
You do. And in that vein, I learned from Dr. Chafee, and I've been applying this, talk about best practices, is not to drink a lot of water an hour or two before a meal, because that takes up space in your stomach, and you're going to get that satiety signal incorrectly, because your stomach, you're getting the stretch receptors initiating some of that leptin. And then not to drink too much water directly after your meal. Let your stomach acid have the pH level that's high enough to break that meat down, and not dilute it with water. So I don't drink. I'm conscious of what I'm drinking a little bit before and a little bit after my meal, to not drink water.
Yeah, I agree. Water it also, something I noticed too, is that if you drink a lot of water during and just after your meal, it doesn't give your body time to absorb the fat, and it'll go straight through you. And so you'll find that a lot of people, especially when they start carnivore, they complain about IBS or diarrhea and things like that. Part of that is that they're drinking too much water with their fat. Apart from the fact that their body is also getting rid of a lot of water and other things that
there's other issues there.
But apart from that, if it continues, it's usually because they're drinking too much water around their meal, and especially with a high fat meal, which is what it should be. Your body just goes straight through you.
Goes into the colon and right out with their waste, right? So pay attention to your body's hunger and fullness cues. We were just talking about this, but this is the thing. People coming into this diet don't have a properly working hunger and fullness cue. This is totally broken based on the standard American diet. So this is something you have to develop and learn. And it's subtle at first, but after a while, you'll get used to it.
Yeah.
Next one, the aim for calorie intake. I hate that. That's dumb.
That's wrong.
yeah.
Just ridiculous.
Calorie is a unit of heat measure. That's all it is. It's like an inch or a yard or a degree.
And what that means is this. So this is, just so you guys understand what a unit of heat measure is. It means when they figure out calories, they put it in a burner and they light it on fire. This is not heat like your body generating. It's not biochemical heat. This is an actual fire. And that's where they measure the calories coming off. Like wood has calories. Now, can you eat wood? I guess you could. Some people do with sawdust, but in their fiber.
Yes, cellulose.
Yeah, cellulose, right? Which is sawdust.
It's sawdust fiber.
Basically, you can, but you're not going to digest it. So even though wood has calories, that sawdust, if you lit it on fire, would have calories. If you put it in your body, it still has calories, but you're not getting anything out of it. You can't digest it.
Same thing with a glass of hot water versus a glass of room temperature water. This thing has way more calories. It has calories, right?
It does.
And you drink both of them. Boy, you're getting more calories. Does that mean I'm getting fat drinking hot water?
So don't pay attention to calories.
Totally wrong. Yeah.
They're totally wrong. This is just old information. And again, we're using a search engine, so it's not going to be perfect, but this is actually pretty good. If someone
it's fairly accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. If someone was like wanting to learn about how to start carnivore and came to this, they'd be pretty good. They'd be running like an A- B+ on this so far.
Yeah.
Drink water.
I mean, basically with calories, you fill your car with calories and you drive it. That's basically what it is.
Burning the gas. Yeah.
But our body's a biochemical engine, which is completely different.
That's
If you take in chemistry and physics,
we're not an internal combustion engine, so we don't use calories.
We are a chemical factory, and the calories in a ribeye versus the calories in ice cream, the burning of them, the absorption, the way they interact with all the different hormones in our body, whether you're male or whether you're female. I mean, there's a million variables. Calories are ridiculous. Plus, the number on the box is like what is it? The error rate is like 20%.
At least, yeah.
At least.
Something like that.
It's ridiculous.
Throw out calories.
Calories are not a great, and we talk about calories still sometimes because people are just so used to it, but it's really worthless kind of metric to be following.
Yeah, it means nothing. Yeah.
No.
But I think apart from diet, though, there's a lot of other practices people should be doing too. I mean, when you come to carnivore, you're trying to get healthy, metabolically healthy. It's not just related to diet either. So.
True. All right, hydration. Drink plenty of water throughout the day. That's not a bad idea. Drinking water. And I would say this though: drink only water. That's more important than that's what I would say. Cut out everything but water. Right. And it can be sparkling water. You can have variety, right? You can have put some salt in it. It can be hot water. It can be
electrolyte. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. You can. There's a lot of things you can drink, but diet soda is probably not one of them that you want to do. Anything with a sweetener, you don't want any sweeteners, and that's not listed here at all. And this is one of the things. It does say avoid down here. We'll get to that, but it doesn't talk about avoiding sweeteners. Sweeteners are definitely something you have to cut out if you want best practices to get best results.
Right. Well, you're using artificial sweeteners because you're basically feeding your addiction still. You're cheating in a way. And you're still keeping that alive, the sugar monster inside of you alive. You're still going to crave sweet things, even if it's monk fruit or stevia. So you got to get off of that.
Yeah. That's a big thing. When it comes to carbs too, like most people drink more carbs than they actually eat.
Yeah.
You go to Starbucks, you drink soft drinks, you drink even diet drinks, things like that. So a lot of people's problems is that they drink a lot throughout the day, and they drink a lot more carbs than they do eat. And even I've seen carnivores or so-called carnivores content on YouTube, and they still drink a lot of these same carbohydrates. They still go to these coffee houses and like Starbucks and all the rest of them, but they also drink the diet sodas and things like that too. So and then and they actually they literally will say, "Oh, this is what I drink to help me on carnivore," sort of thing, and it's like that's insane. And others, you go to the other extreme where they just don't realize, and they say, I I drink this and that, and why aren't I getting results? Well, you're not getting results because you're still drinking the same amount of carbs that you were before.
Even a zero carb can make you maintain your weight, because it can sabotage your weight loss. Even the zero carb, because you still get insulin reactions, and your cells will maintain.
Yeah, that's right. It still affects your glucose. Yeah, so
it does. They have what's called the cephalic phase insulin response. Your body still thinks you're getting something sweet, and then they may not know. Talk about best practices. I mean, people are on a different part of the timeline of their learning. You know, when they just started, they think it's okay to have the Diet Coke because it's not real sugar. You know, they need to understand what that
zero carb.
It said zero carb. It said that's what I'm. So that's where they are in their learning, and they have to learn from maybe listening to our video and some other videos. I mean, I'm still learning stuff. I just learned about this hydrogen thing today from DC.
And it's like, I mean, even honestly, like even the real sugar stuff would actually be healthier than the zero carb sort of drinks. So.
Oh, that stuff is bad. It kills your good gut bacteria. A lot of the Splenda and the sucralose, it's bad for you.
And this is definitely a crawl, walk, run thing, right? And but if you want the best results, you can start off running in this diet. You really can. You don't have to do
with the knowledge. You got to have the right knowledge.
If you know it's right. Now here they say adding a pinch of salt to water helps with hydration and electrolyte balance. I would add to this and say this is also a tactic you can use when you have sweetness cravings, because a lot of times if you put salt in your mouth, it'll basically satiate your craving. It's weird. Even though you want something sweet, try it. Test me on this one. I guarantee it works. It worked for me.
I bought from Redmond Real Salt a piece of rock salt, like it's this big. I have it in the other room, and I don't use it anymore. But when I would get a craving or something, I just suck on it for a minute or two. Oh my gosh, it goes away. I mean, you know, it's salty, but then when you're done, and then I drink some water, you have no craving for sugar anymore. It works. There's something, it crosses in the brain, the salt sweet thing. It's really interesting. Try it.
Yeah, that's something I always recommend too. Is salt water, especially I don't recommend drinking water before bed, but first thing you get up in the morning, have salt water, like really salty water, to help you hydrate really quick.
7 to 8 hours of no electrolytes and no water. That's a great thing to do in the morning. Yeah, you're right.
We got Michelle O'Donnell coming in at 1:19 a.m. from Cork, Ireland.
Wow.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Someone's
Michelle.
Not sleeping tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so going into supplements now, consider adding supplements such as vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, and probiotics. I don't agree with that. I think that you get most of it from your food. But everyone's a little different depending where you start from. And I do keep vitamin D around for if I get sick. I mean, I do have some vitamin C, vitamin D. I have some vitamins that I will add zinc and quercetin. I add if I get sick. If I'm fighting a virus, that's the only time I really take. Other than that, I leave that medicine cabinet empty. What about you guys?
I have C that I will only take if I feel like I'm getting a sore throat or scratchy throat, and I will just take a little bit of C because I don't want it to turn into oxalate, which too much does. And I will take D3 with K2. If I think I'm getting sick, I'll add that because I get a lot of sun here. I'm out in the sun constantly. I don't really need to take it. And I take a magnesium supplement every day because the ground is deficient in magnesium because of modern farming techniques. And I had paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, and the magnesium is part of the cure of why carnivore and magnesium, I don't have AFib anymore. So those are, oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So those are I technically still have what's called paroxysmal AFib, which means it comes and goes. So like twice a year, I'll jump into AFib for a few minutes.
That's gotta be scary.
And that's it. But before I was in it constantly, and I was on this medicine. This is before I was even doing keto or carnivore. So magnesium is an amazing electrolyte that's healthy for many reasons, especially for the electrical rhythm of your heart. So, you know, I've heard from many of the doctors online that most humans are deficient in magnesium. So that's, of all the supplements, to me, that's an important one. And then there's all kinds, your magnesium glycinate, threonate, citrate, you know, whichever one you want that works for you.
Yeah. Yeah, the best. I mean, if you're going to get magnesium, you can get like a mix of all of them. So, which I think would be easier for most people. But I don't supplement at the moment. I used to supplement with magnesium. Magnesium, like John was saying, is and most people are deficient in magnesium and potassium. And iron and other things, but these are things you can get from your diet as long as, like we said before, you get a mix of fats, okay, and this will help you and get a good. You also need to eat a lot of salt throughout the day, and I think that is. I don't use electrolytes and I don't use other supplements anymore, but at first I did use magnesium.
What
if
about
you do
iodine?
need,
Iodine?
no, I don't use iodine.
I do
don't
2
supplement at
drops
all.
a day of iodine
I do
because
iodine.
I don't have it in my salt.
Yeah. The other thing you should be wary of, though, the thing is, when you're low, it's, for example, if you're low in vitamin D is a hormone that you produce from cholesterol. Okay, your liver produces cholesterol, and you produce vitamin D from that. So increase your fat intake. If you are and become fat adapted, when you're fat adapted and you have a high fat intake, you won't be low in vitamin D, for example. As long as you get a good mix of fats as well. This always helps with hormone production, and that's what vitamin D is. It's not really a vitamin; it's a hormone.
It's a hormone, yeah.
Yeah, testosterone, the same thing, right? Higher fat.
Testosterone is the same, exactly the same. So it's the same thing, and these are both of these are vitally important for your immune system. Okay, so when I first started carnivore, 3 months into it, I was still kind of low fat compared to where I am now. I got a cold. And usually a cold would last me months. I increased my fat intake. It lasted me 2 days, and I didn't have to stop doing anything. So it's just something you should be wary of. But when buying vitamins and minerals, okay, I don't think you need to go and buy a heap of expensive electrolytes, because I think if you have a good mineral salt and you replace the minerals in your water, for example, I drink a lot of salt in my water, and throughout the day I might take, add a bit of salt just to. I certainly add a lot of salt to my meals as well, and I'll even just dip my finger in the salt and just suck on the salt. So I don't need electrolytes at all. Even after prolonged exercise in the gym, going outside, spending hours at the beach, I don't use electrolytes at all. And vitamins and minerals.
Just salt.
Vitamins and minerals that you buy from, say, store-bought vitamins and stuff, for example,
synthetic.
Again, they are synthetic vitamins. They are manufactured, so they're 9 times out of 10 they're not going to do anything for you because they are manufactured. Plus, they are highly processed, and so anything that they might have had through the processing is gone. And a lot of them are also, they're very high in deuterium because of the processing, and they also use seed oils a lot as binding agents to form the solid mass. And even gel caps, they have what called vegetable gum, okay, to make those gel caps.
That's the gel.
So there's a lot of problems when you go buying vitamins and stuff. They really are just a waste of money, most of them. You can get very expensive, high quality dietary enhancers, but these are very different to supplements, okay? And these, like the supplement industry and the fitness industry, they're just as bad as the medical industry, okay? So it's pretty much, they're all made by the same people. You try and get off pharmaceutical drugs and medications, and it's the same people making those vitamins and minerals and stuff that everyone loves to go out and buy because you think you're doing the right thing, you think you're getting healthy, but they're really working against you. So try and get as much as you can from your natural sources.
Yeah, okay? I agree.
I agree with that.
And if you do go and buy supplements in the store, bring your reading glasses if you need them, and read the ingredients and the other ingredients. And you will see maybe 15 varieties of this particular vitamin. Maybe you can walk out of the store with one bottle that doesn't have the added sugar, the added starch, the added corn, this, the added rice, that all this crap.
And everything.
Yeah, soy. Oh my
binders
gosh,
and all that. Yeah.
Soy,
And then,
I mean, soy is in everything, so
it is.
really.
And then you've got to buy stuff online because you can't find it in the store. And really,
even,
getting it from the food is the best way.
Yeah, even when you find a decent vitamin, okay, the problem is digestion as well, because most of them, what will happen is they'll get broken down in your stomach acid, and then you won't absorb it anyway.
Right.
They won't make it to your digestive tract for your body to absorb the vitamins. So you need something that was going to be fat soluble, so that it survives the stomach and it gets into the digestive tract. Or one way to protect it is to eat it with a very fatty meal. Okay?
Fatty meal, if it's fat soluble vitamin, especially. Yeah.
To protect it until it gets to the digestive tract. So for those many reasons, I don't endorse any supplements at all. Okay.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't recommend any. And I don't take any myself. But like I said, the key is get your vitamins and minerals from the natural sources. You need a mix of fats and meats. You need a good mineral salt. And when it comes to water is very important too, because water, especially tap water, it's full of chemicals and drugs, fluoride and all sorts of other things. Reverse osmosis water system is really good, but then you need to remineralize that water. Yeah. So I always dissolve a lot of good mineral salt in my water. Okay.
I have reverse osmosis, and I use that for my regular drinking and my ice making. And then
that's what I have. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I do drink mineral waters from Texas that I know come from a spring that are because that's a natural form of minerals you're going to get out of that, and it's not chemicalized or anything. It doesn't have all these drugs that are flushed down the toilet.
There are other things you can do too to help your hormone production as well, and lower glucose. For example, blue light. When you're sitting on screens all day, for example, the blue light affects your glucose levels and can also cause your insulin spikes that will give you diabetes and cause other problems. Okay, not just hormones, but also neurodegenerative sort of problems as well. So like blue light blocking glasses can help, or you can put things like red cellophane over your screen. You can have like red light therapy. A lot of people do use red light therapy, but honestly, all you need to do is go outside and spend some time in the sun, and you get plenty of red light therapy from the sun. Okay. This is another thing that there's so much in our life that has been all our natural way of life has been demonized, so that they can sell us on these chemicals and screens and other sorts of garbage that takes us away from staying indoors to keep you out of the sun, because they want you sick and dependent. So you really have to try and live as naturally as you can. So like try and mimic what your natural life would be, as much as you can throughout the day.
Yeah. And, I think real quick, Nancy, yes, I do have the mayo recipe on my channel. So if you go check that out, it's the bacon mayonnaise. You can make that with duck fat or butter. Duck fat has like a neutral taste. Butter has a buttery taste, and then bacon has a bacon taste. I tell you right now, making mayonnaise for like deviled eggs, bacon mayonnaise is the bomb on deviled eggs.
It is.
People make that stuff disappear. Someone commented that we're making this complex, making the simple complex.
I saw that.
But I just want to point out that, yes, the simple way to do best practices is BBB&E. And that's really the simplest way of doing it. And that means nothing outside of BBB&E. That's just beef, bacon, butter, eggs, and water and salt. And nothing beyond that. Nothing. No sweeteners, no added, no, I'm going to add this to this, and I'm going to drink coffee. And that's the best way to make it really simple. Now, what we're doing, we're diving in and breaking it down.
We're breaking it down. You could do pork. You could do lamb. You could do other ruminant meats. And
And
Yeah.
seafood is good too.
And seafood is very healthy. Although,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to have somebody who's always going to speak up in the comments or whatever and say, oh, the microplastics and the toxins. And
someone talked about rabbits too. So you can eat rabbits, but you need to add fat to that for sure.
They're very lean.
Rabbits are super lean.
Yeah, rabbits
Same with chicken.
too
Same
lean.
with chicken. Yeah. Chicken's too lean too.
Yeah,
really.
any lean meats, you need to add fat. Like chicken, like leave the skin on, for example, if you can. But
chicken breasts are so
chicken
lean.
breast, for example, you
Eat the
have
chicken
to
wings
add
and
fat.
thighs, and add fat.
But if you do cook like chicken breast, for example, or rabbit, just add some lamb fat or beef fat or anything like that. You know?
Yep, you can fry it. Like they recommend coating it in pork panko crumbs and deep frying in tallow or lard. That works.
That sounds good. Yeah,
that's a way to eat rabbit right there. Or I've seen it made in like a cream stew, kind of like you can do that too. But there's different things you can do. All right. So after that, we had consult with a healthcare professional before adding supplements to your diet. I would say none of us are doctors, and you need to consult with a doctor anyway before you do the diet if you're going to start it out. Not a bad idea. I didn't do it.
I think better than that, though. I think the problem is doctors know nothing about nutrition.
Right. That's a problem.
Sadly, they don't. You're right.
Yeah. So the problem is find yourself a nutritionist, not like a carnivore-friendly nutritionist. Okay, not a doctor, because they know absolutely nothing about nutrition. What you do find though, like although we don't have, we're not doctors, we can't say we're doctors, but we do have experience. I'm 10 years keto. I've been managing blood cancer from my deathbed and to where I am now. So I do have some idea of what nutrition is. And the same with John and Larry. They've been doing this for quite some time as well. So a lot of years between us in experience and knowledge of nutrition and how it affects us. And that's what we are talking about now is what we do, how it affects us, and what is working for us. We can't say exactly what's going to work for you because we don't know your situation, but that's all we're doing.
Everybody is different. Everybody's body is different. And so you find your path, but there are some generalizations, some basic points that we're all talking about. So we are kind of making it complicated because we're putting all of our 2 cents in, and everybody's different, and just some basic points to consider.
But you don't have to take it to this level of depth. You can just do the BBB&E. And
start out easy, and then but I think, and what we talked about offline earlier, Larry and DC, is what I think one of the most important things for best practices is to hang out with and follow some of the best people. And so on your YouTube channel, who are your favorites on your YouTube channel? I could pull my YouTube channel up and I can show you Dr. Chafee, Dr. Berry, Dr. Sivas. I've got all my doctors and nutritionists lined up for years. I've had them for years, and I will listen to them regularly, and I learn things from them. And from them, they'll interview somebody I never heard of before, and I'm like, oh, Dr. Kiltz, hey, let me make him a favorite. And then you follow these great people, and some of them will disagree with each other, but the common denominator that they all talk about, and the common denominator things that they all agree on, that's what I walk away with. And I feel like I know the facts because I've heard it so many times in so many ways from so many specialists and doctors that I feel like it's right. Some people do think, oh, I don't know who to believe. I keep hearing all different things from different people. Find the common thread, and that's what you'll find. I listened to one lady, and she talks all about oxalates. I've learned so much because I had a kidney stone. So, I was drawn to that, and I was interested in it. And a lot of people want to know about that because they're getting off of their standard diet where they ate a lot of oxalates, and now they're having problems because they went right into carnivore and their body started dumping these oxalates. They started having problems. Well, you don't know what it is. You find people and you learn from them online.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And make sure that people are, well, I would say just make sure that when you do follow people that, you want to follow people that are going the direction you want to go.
Right.
They're getting the results you want to get or have already gotten the results. Show the receipts, because some people, I do know there are content creators out there in this community that, and usually you can tell by the sensational headlines that they're just trying to get views on their channel. I could care less about views. I care about helping people. And I could stop making videos tomorrow. My videos will still help people 10 years from now, I think.
Use your gut instinct to tell you if this person's legitimate or not. There's a lot of nut jobs out there. There's a lot of people that are giving the total wrong information. So you do have to use your instincts too to decide.
Right.
I've unfriended and unliked certain people because they were going in the wrong direction.
Me too. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you have to be really discerning. Like you said, make sure they're going in the direction that you want to go. But, you know, I've seen that many times too, is you have, if you're looking for example, just an example, carnivore channels, okay. It's not always carnivore channels, you know, just even keto or low carb sort of things. But then they do videos like, oh, the coffee I choose when I go, or the latte I choose when I go to Starbucks, for example. These things like Starbucks, they are full of seed oils, and like you might as well drink down a box of donuts because it has just as much sugar and seed oils in it. Okay. People who say they're fasting but they're drinking this latte, like a grande latte sort of thing, that's not fasting. Okay. So you need to be discerning when you see people. Okay, I'm doing fasting and I'm strict carnivore, but I drink, and this is the coffee I choose, sort of thing. When I go to Starbucks, okay, that's unsubscribed sort of reason for me. Or they, you know, stick to their, like I said before, a lot of people drink more carbs than they do eat, and they continue to do that when they're on carnivore. So, or they're pushing a lot of supplements that they have no idea what's in them. They have no idea what they do, or they're just trying to push something that
they're selling their product. Yeah, a lot of times you can tell when they stop and they sell their product. You know, it's kind of a red flag.
Yeah. So they're the kind of people that you just want to. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's for me. Okay, I definitely unfollow. Whether
I used to watch like Thomas DeLauer. He was one of the first guys I watched. He changed. Saladino. He changed. They started selling their stuff. Started talking about adding carbs and adding fruit. And I'm like, well,
that's another example of see, like
examples.
Okay, Saladino, for example. Okay, he lives in Costa Rica. Okay?
Right.
So people, you know, climate makes a big difference to your diet as well. Okay, so if you're living in a very hot, humid sort of place like Costa Rica, you can get away with eating carbs. Okay, when you sweat, your body gets rid of deuterium and all sorts of other things. So you actually, when you move to a hotter climate, you might find that some people will crave carbohydrates, such as fruit and things like that.
But you still don't need carbs if you're sweating.
No, you don't need them. Right. You still don't need them. But the other thing is too, when he's talking to people around the world and telling them that you need carbs, like especially when different climates. So like if you're in the UK in a colder climate, you definitely want to stay as far away from carbs as possible, because that's when your body is like going into winter, for example. You are going into like a fasting state. You do not want to start feeding a heap of carbohydrates. That's when you're going to get really fat. All right. So there's a lot of environmental sort of issues involved. Like different populations are going to need have different requirements as well, and can get, well, not so much requirements, but can get away with different diets. They can eat carbohydrates, for example, in a hot climate, sort of hot, humid climate, because you sweat so much and things like that. Whereas other climates you can't. So it's it doesn't, one person's advice doesn't work globally. Okay.
Right. Yeah, everyone's a little different. That's the N=1 experiment we have to learn. And you have to learn your body too.
That's right.
So avoiding processed foods, including grains, legumes, and starchy vegetables. So those aren't really processed foods. I don't know why they're included in that.
Well,
but they're all, well, yeah, all vegetables, especially the starchy ones, you want to avoid when you're doing a carnivore diet properly, I think, for best results.
Yeah.
And any
I think one of the like, actually, I think that's apart from the actual food, which is really easy, basically, as long as you just eat meat and lots of fat, and a variety of fats and meat is good. Salt, water, that's basically simple. But like you're saying, like you become who you sort of associate with, and so it's very important to be discerning about where you get your information from.
And congratulations, you're all associating with us tonight. And we're all doing this, and we've been doing it for a while, and we're all getting good results. So this is good. So question, what is the over-the-counter magnesium to buy? I have it in my electrolytes, but never bought it in pill form. I actually have powder, which tastes nasty, but it worked when I used to get cramps. I'd have a magnesium powder. And I haven't taken it in probably 6 months. I haven't gotten leg cramps since 6 months ago. But my first 6 months of carnivore, I did get leg cramps at night sometimes. What about you guys? What do you buy?
Another way to get rid of cramps, okay, is grounding.
Yeah, I ground too now.
Because you get electromagnetic impulse from the ground. Okay, so being in touch with the ground, you'll find that. I know, like, actually, I was speaking to someone the other day. They were saying that his wife, when she gets cramps in her calves, she puts her feet on the ground, and they go away.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I do walk my dog barefoot a lot now, so I ground pretty regularly.
Then you just clean your feet. That's all.
Yeah, that's right.
I do magnesium citrate. My bowels like that. A lot of people have too loose of a bowel. They do citrate. I do glycinate every once in a while to relax my muscles. And threonate crosses the blood-brain barrier. Magnesium threonate is very good for the brain. So I kind of mix it up and do all three. Again, I know a lot of people don't agree with taking supplements or magnesium, but I personally, N=1, previous AFib, I know my body functions better on supplementing magnesium. So I do citrate, glycinate, threonate, threonate, not the number 3, but threonate is the name. And I had to buy 2 of them online because the ones in the store are full of crap. So you had to spend the money and look, and you have to read the ingredients online like you would read them when you're in the store. But you may not need it. Some people don't need it. My body needs it, and my body likes it.
Another way you can get it too, if you have those magnesium and salt baths. If you have a bath, your body will absorb
absorb it through your skin. That's a good way to do it. You're right.
Through your skin.
Yeah,
and it's a good way also to do heat treatment. If, for example, heat treatments are really, really good for your body as well. Not just hot, but also cold, like a cold plunge. So have for example, if you're going to do a salt bath with magnesium salts or just bath salts in general, have it as hot as you can stand it.
Hot tub, yeah,
like come out of that tub for you only need it for 20 minutes, and you have it so hot that you just red all over. Go as red, as hot as you can stand it. And then have a cold shower afterwards, or a cold plunge if you can. Cold plunges are really good for to stimulate your body as well. It also helps. Both these treatments also help your body to get rid of deuterium. Okay, to actually expel deuterium from your body, which is like a detox sort of thing.
Stimulates that brown fat too. It's very good when you do the cold plunges.
And it also stimulates your lymphatic system to move body fat around. Okay, and to get rid of body fat. Okay, so very good for weight management, very good for absorbing vitamins and minerals, also very good for getting rid of deuterium, so detoxing and things like that. But like I said too, the electromagnetic energy that you get from grounding, okay, will also help with cramps and so many other things that it gives you. Because the reason why you're getting cramps is because you're not getting energy to those muscle cells, and they sort of fire and they cramp on, they sort of lock on, sort of thing. Magnesium is a great supplement. I always used to take that myself as well, because it's not just good for things like AFib and controlling neurological firings and things like that, but great for muscle recovery, especially after training, after heavy gym session. Magnesium is fantastic to help you recover. Yes. But having said that, I don't take it anymore because I do all these other things. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was AFib myself. I was in a really bad way 12 years ago. Okay, and 10 years ago, really bad way. But everything is good now, and I've cured things like that. So I don't take, and now zero medication, zero supplements, and it's amazing the difference that you get. The red light therapy from the sun. Okay, the energy you get, because you are solar powered as well. Okay, your batteries need recharging from the sun. The energy you get from grounding, and as long as you get the right nutrients you get from your food, you should be okay.
Grounding actually changes your blood too. It changes your viscosity of your blood, and it changes the pH.
pH,
So I know
blood pressure, heart rate, everything.
So it's not just, and this is like proven factually, not my opinion. This is like they've done studies where they've
actually this
before and after.
If you check out my page, a really good interview with Dr. Sarah Pugh, we talk about grounding, sunlight, blue light, and deuterium. So it's well worth checking out. And she also has on her page a lot of specific videos about deuterium and about grounding and blue light and things like that. So, it's really worth your time. Okay.
Desonye says avoid vitamin gummies. I would avoid anything that's gummy. If anything gummy,
it's all just sugar
past your lips.
Yeah,
it's just sugar.
Yeah, and vegetable gum and stuff like that.
And gummies.
Lisa sharing the news, trying to help her coworker lose type 2 diabetes. That's awesome. Dr. Barry's the guy. I mean, he's you really can't go wrong giving his information out.
Actually, that's those gummy things. That's an excellent example. Okay, like if all these supplements and vitamins and everything was so healthy, they wouldn't advertise. They wouldn't be able to advertise them so much. They wouldn't be trying to target kids as much either. That's why they made them in those gummies. Okay, they're sweet.
And the section in the grocery store and the pharmacies, if you've ever really taken a look at how many things come in gummy form now, people are like, "Oh, I can get my fiber in gummies," which you're not supposed to have fiber.
Oh my gosh!
All these different things are gummies, and of course they're going like crazy because it's candy
and it's addictive. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember my sister bought it from my mother. My mother, my mom and dad are gone now, but when my mother was suffering with her ailment and she bought she thought he was doing the right thing. My mother's like, "Oh, I have these wonderful gummies." I'm like, "Mom, you can't do that. It's going to feed the cancer. It's sugar." And, they don't want to hear it. She's in her 80s, and I get angry because it's the industry made my mother sicker,
Yeah, that's right.
Same with my family.
Well, that's the thing. Like even the keto sort of space has been hijacked by corporations, with the so-called keto, low carb friendly sort of snacks and all that sort of garbage. And they sell all sorts of stuff like chocolate bars and ice cream and all sorts of candy and garbage.
All processed.
Highly processed. And highly high in
feeding the addiction with lookalikes. They're lookalikes is all they are.
We got another question, guys.
Okay.
Who has any of you guys used a coach in the beginning? I did not. My coaches were Dr. Barry,
Mine too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dr. Kiltz, all these doctors, they were my coaches. I consider them.
You can use a coach though. I have a wonderful coach I could recommend if you want to start. And her name is Kim Howerton. And she is she's a keto coach. She's not a carnivore coach, but she's an official coach. She's Dr. Barry's right-hand gal. All right. So, she's endorsed by him, but any of the coaches that Dr. Barry has on his private community are great coaches that you can.
They have a PhD community of coaches.
You can use one of those.
I've interviewed a couple of them.
Oh yeah. They're great. I didn't have one personally. I had them for free on YouTube, but I didn't pay for somebody personally. Yeah.
Right.
I don't have any coaches. I mean, I am a coach. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I've been a Bachelor of Sports and Exercise Science. And, I was in the fitness industry for many years before my diagnosis, and this is why I keep saying to people, it's the fitness industry is killing people. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because I was in the fitness industry. I know, all right, the low fat, sort of regime that they keep you on, or they want people to take up, is what kills people. Okay, low fat, and everything is low fat and high in seed oil. So, and that's what these were the underlying issues for my condition. So, I've been. I've been in almost 30 years. So, and the last 10 years, I've been very high fat diet, and been doing this, and this has kept me in remission. So, I coach myself. I find the information, I do the research, and this is what I do. So, but if you ever have any questions, please feel free, and I'll try to give you the best information I can and point you in the right direction, at least, because there are some really good doctors out there too, and some good websites that you can find this information. So,
Aid has a comment about when thousands of anecdotes all align, you have a hypothesis. Yeah, each one of us is a data point, right? If you were to chart all of our data, people who are actually doing this, you will see the hypothesis come. And that's what you can see it all over the place.
The common denominator.
Cancer, or the common denominator is diet. Is what we eat, what you put in your mouth. So that's fact. Well, let's finish this off real quick. We got avoid added sugars. They did have the sweeteners in here, artificial sweeteners and artificial flavorings too. And this is something I know John's big on. Artificial flavorings. You don't want natural or artificial flavorings.
I don't want to read on. First of all, you buy foods that have one ingredient. Right, you avoid all of that by buying one ingredient food.
100% egg,
beef, lamb, pork. Yeah, exactly. But the artificial flavors, coloring, preservative, shiny spread. I mean, there's the list of chemicals. You don't even know what they are. You have to look. You have to Google them. They're all chemicals that interfere with your chemical factory. All of your hormones get unbalanced from these chemicals, and that's colors. And they do that to make it look pretty and to sell the product. That's it. Yeah. So don't eat just eat one, just buy ground beef and eggs.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, when they say artificial flavorings, for example, and artificial colorings, a lot of these are petroleum based. They don't actually have to tell you how it's made or where it actually comes from. They just say artificial flavorings.
They can say natural flavors. And by law, anything could be put in that placeholder.
Yeah,
that's
right. It could be monosodium glutamate, which is
it has a double meaning too. And when they say natural flavors, it means that it tastes like the natural product.
Right. It's an oxymoron. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one is avoid low fat or lean meats. Yeah, avoid anything low fat. Avoid it like the plague.
Or add
any low fat.
Or add the fat,
And then they don't provide. It says they may not. I'll just say they don't provide the necessary nutrients and energy, because this is a high fat diet, guys. It's not that's what it really is. It's not a high protein diet. It's the same protein you should be eating anyway, regardless of what your diet is. This is a higher fat diet, but it's a good fat diet.
Beginners need to understand and learn at wherever they are on the learning line that fat is not just fat.
Right.
Fat doesn't make you fat, and it's not just fat. There's nutrition in there. There's energy in there. Your body, oh my gosh, the cholesterol that your body makes from that. Your testosterone, exactly. I mean, the fat is more important. It's equally important to protein, but you've got to have your fat.
Yep, and your cholesterol.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, there was some idiot Australian has a YouTube page, and they call it Frugivore, and
Frugivore?
Yes, they only eat fruit. Okay, and she literally has a video talking about it. It's called fat because it's already a fat. So when you eat it, it's just instant fat. An absolute imbecile. She has absolutely no understanding of the lymphatic system. When you eat fat, this gets absorbed. You have 5 major organs in the lymphatic system that are built to absorb fat. Okay, and it absorbs the fat and all the vitamins and minerals into your what's called lymph fluid. Okay, and that lymph fluid gets pushed around your body. And so all your fats, vitamins, and minerals, everything like that. And it also carries all your proteins, your white cells, and things like that, and all for your immune system. And that gets pushed around your body through your lymphatic system. Okay, And your lymphatic system at the same time will also take away all the waste from, dead cells and things like that. Okay. So, it doesn't even, it's not how fat cannot be stored in your body unless you spike your insulin at the same time. So like if you eat sugar with fat, then you're going to get fat. All right.
Yeah.
But if you are fat adapted and you are eating a fatty meal, high fat meal, that's just energy, and that whatever is not used will just be expelled. The body can't hold on to it.
Right. And you mentioned the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K get absorbed because of the fat you're eating. They won't. If you eat no fat, you're not absorbing those vitamins. That's right.
And when we're talking about these vitamins, we're talking about in the correct molecule as well, like K2, D3. Okay.
Right.
Vegetables, K1, D2 is stuff that are just toxic to the body.
Your body has to convert it, and a lot of people can't.
Most people just can't do it. You cannot. I mean, even if you could do it, it would be in the most minute amount. So it's not effective at all.
And then there's a couple tips here they have. Start slow. I don't agree with that, but some people gradually transition to carnivore diet. I don't agree with that. Some people do. For me, I couldn't.
It's everybody's different. All right. You do it your way, but some people have to do it that way because their body can't take it. Or they don't have the self-discipline to do it. Yeah.
If you try a slow transition and you give in to cravings and then start over and do the Groundhog Day for a week and keep doing it,
some people
you're not the kind of person that can do that. You have to cold turkey it.
People who are oxalate dumping though have to do it slowly. That's the thing.
So there's everyone's different on that.
Yeah, I mean there are two ways you can do it. You can do it like cold turkey, or you can do it gradually. There are benefits and negatives to both. Yeah, I mean there are benefits and negatives to both. But if you can abstain, I think it's good to do it gradually, because your body does go through a lot of hormonal change. So some people just can't handle those hormonal changes,
and they'll quit by day 6. If a lot of people who go cold turkey, by day 6 or 7 they give up because it's too hard for them. Like they don't know how to embrace the suck.
Yeah, embrace the suck. The military.
They're not Marines or Army guys. So it is different for everybody. So you have to find out what works for you and do it.
Yeah.
And focusing on that why, you got to get that why.
Right? Why is important.
Okay, consider keeping a food diary. I didn't do this, but it's probably not a bad idea if you want to identify patterns and triggers. Okay, so this is something I do. Like if I have a failure, after I fail, I jump back on the horse, but then I try to identify patterns that caused it, right? That's important. If everyone's going to fail a little bit. When you do, look back and see what was happening and try to prevent that from happening again, to prevent you from failing again. So
and forgive yourself
with a purpose.
And forgive yourself, because a lot of people beat themselves up and they're like, I can't do it. I screwed up. I'm not going to start again. Just get back. Everybody fails. Get up and start again. Yeah.
Be patient and persistent. It may take time to adjust to a new diet. It will take time.
It will.
But if you stick to it, it'll be amazing.
And the longer you do it, the easier it becomes, and the more it becomes regular. And then you look back 2 or 3 years from now and you'd be like, wow, I'm a different person. I'm a completely different. I ate such different food back then. My kitchen looked so different way back then.
Caution, cold turkey.
The better you feel. I mean, the longer you do it, the better you feel, because you are fat adapted. Your body is healing as you progress. It just keeps on healing and keeps regenerating. Because a lot of people don't understand is our bodies regenerate, in a 24-hour cycle. Our cells regenerate all the time. And, to do that, though, you need to give your body the best nutrients you can.
Yeah, we're not trying to be scary. I'm just telling my experience.
Right, Paul. That's what he did, and
that's
some
why
people
I asked
have
these guys what they did.
Some people have success going cold turkey, but most people, I'm going to say most people, and the advice that I give is to go slowly, because your body has to adjust. A lot of people are oxalate dumping, and you don't want that to come on real strong. I know DC talks about deuterium a lot. I talk about oxalates a lot. Everybody has their thing about what affected them and things that we've learned. So, take a little bit of, don't take everything we say seriously. Anybody who's listening, we're all coming from our angle, and we're also all not doctors, and we're not giving medical advice. We're just telling
That's
different
right.
aspects. Yeah.
I mean, some people transition over a very long. I know someone who's been transitioning for the last 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
so.
not
Yeah, I mean, so it just, I mean, if you need to, I mean, because like I said, your body does go through a lot of changes when you change your any kind of dietary change that you make. Your body goes through a lot of changes, be it positive or negative. You get hormonal changes, you get all sorts of things.
Wow.
So there are going to be, for some people, it may be easier to go cold turkey. For other people, it may be easier
Bye,
to go.
Paul.
Bye, Paul.
I tried to clarify and say that, that I didn't agree with you, Larry, and that we
That's
need to
fine.
go slowly, and he's leaving anyway. All right,
That's
bye.
okay. It's fine. Paul's the expert. Obviously,
gonna
he's
do?
the man that we need to all follow because he knows everything.
Well, hey, I mean, it's obviously just not listening.
Yeah.
Right, because we're coming with 3 different perspectives, and we're each sharing our point of view, which is a little different. And
yeah, so I did cold turkey, and that it worked for me, and I didn't die. So that's what worked for me. I'm not saying everyone should do that.
Right.
We said some people should transition, some may not want to. Everyone should know their own body. So yeah.
All right, Paul's Paul. Still with us.
Yeah, he's still with us. He didn't leave.
I'm laughing with you, Paul. He could stay, leave, come, go. We'll knock you off if you get really nasty, but
you can always jump on and join us and share your experience too. By the way,
he had a lot of good points that he typed up there. A lot of good facts.
I mean, I transitioned slowly. I mean, I mean, for 9.5 years, most of that 9.5 years, I've been keto, and then I went to carnivore. So, and I think it's much easier to go from keto to carnivore than it is to go from the standard Western diet.
Well, yeah, you're right, and that's why I transitioned that way. I transitioned. My God, I think I did it over 3 years. If you want to count the way I did it very slowly, but I didn't do it intentionally that way. I just did the keto diet first, and then I went into ketovore for a few years, and then I decided to go carnivore.
And I had done keto in the past, and I had always cold turkeyed it when I went to keto.
So you knew what that was, yeah.
So I knew my body would handle it, and when I went carnivore, I did the same thing, and it handled it fine. Did I get diarrhea? Yeah, I got diarrhea, but I think I was get that anyway. I assume.
Well, I think that's a natural process. Your body detoxing and getting rid of a lot of things.
Biome.
Yeah, gut biome and. Yeah,
Paul's going to do an interview with Bart K, and I know Bart K is very big on not doing it cold turkey. They're probably going to talk about that, how important it is because of all of the changes that a body goes through. So the advice of easing into it is what he's probably going to talk about, and I agree with him. I think we need to ease into it for that reason. And if a person,
I think so too. I think. But again, like Larry said, it's also up to the individual as well. I think people need to work out before they start this. They need to work out whether or not they can moderate or not,
right?
And whether they can handle the changes if they go cold turkey or not. So it's totally up to them how they do it, how they start.
I know plenty of people that have thrown everything out of their house and gone straight to meat and butter in their whole life. So it's not like everyone's
It can
dying.
be done. It absolutely can be done. There are some people that do it that have complications, though, and that's what people are trying to warn other people about is the complications. But it can be done. Yeah.
Yeah. So but like you said before, N equals 1, and you need to work out what's best for you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all we got, guys. I'm going to drop you guys out and say goodbye, but that was a really good discussion, I think. We had a lot of good points. Thanks for stopping by. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. It was a great discussion. I love hearing everyone's points of views and everyone's experiences. We all have something to bring to the table. So check out these guys' videos, and also check out that interview with Bart K coming up with Paul. Not Saladino, but who looked like Saladino on there all the time. Also check out some of the other YouTube content creators that were in the chat. You might have seen them, like the Carnivorous Grandma and some other ones in there. There's a lot of good channels out there, a lot of good information being put out. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. Stay strong and overcome. Carnivore Soldier out.